And welcome to Ignition. Now today I'm going to have a quick look at the Ford Bronco, the Land Rover Defender, the JEEP Wrangler, and I've seen a fair few reviews of them, and what they seem to miss is the new Grenadier by Ineos. So what I thought we'd do is we'd have a quick look at all four cars. A little bit more of a chat about the Grenadier rather than the other three, which I think have been covered substantially and compared to each other, and as you'll see in a couple of the videos, actually sort of headed off against each other. And we'll have a little chat about who we think they're aimed at and the pros and cons of each type of car. So now let's get rid of the elephant in the room, or the elephant that's not in the room, which is the empty seat here. Now, obviously I've got to use the PC, I've got to talk to you and do everything at the same time. Now, unfortunately, Nath had to go on holiday to recuperate from a very serious operation where he's had that noncy man bun removed. So as you can see, the man bun is now gone. We did have a few comments about that, about how I think poor is the polite phrase where we go with that. And there's his new sharp haircut. So isn't he looking gorgeous? Though he's ditched me in favour of his bikini clad girlfriend, but let's not go into that. We'd much rather, I think, look at Ford Bronco.
This country has a strange relationship with the wild. As much as we talk about it, and paint paintings of it, and sing songs about how we're destined to be it, we seem to spend every waking hour in places that keep us away from it. So to get back to the wild, we need something built for it. Something that acts like it's been out here before. Because it has. Introducing the return of a legend. The all-new Bronco two-door, the first ever Bronco four-door, and the adventure-ready Bronco Sport. Built to get you to all those places you normally only see in nature documentaries. Built for capability, for adventure, for enjoying the open air, on the open road, in the parts of the world without posted speed limits. Because if something is going to be called a Bronco, it better be able to live up to that name. Meet the future of off-roading. The all-new Bronco family.
So the Bronco family is quite interesting. So they've got three, and they seem to be three fairly different models. So they seem to, with the small two-door Bronco, I think they're sort of gunning for Jeep. The four-door also guns for Jeep, sort of. I suppose maybe you're more into the, I suppose, the standard SUV mole crawler type, and then you've got the other one, which is the Sport, which it seems fairly squarely hit at the Land Rover Defender. So let's have a look at the new Land Rover Defender, if I can get it to play. And I think when you look at the pictures of the three Bronco, I think I've seen that sort of image somewhere before. So I kept that one fairly short. We've done that in the previous review, but now they're all gunning, in my opinion, for the sort of more adventurous end of the, is SUV a really derogative term for these type of cars? So the marketplace has been relatively left to Jeep in its own right for quite a few years, and disclaimer, I have a Wrangler. So I can talk about the Wrangler probably more in depth than I can the other, well, very few of us can because they're very, very new vehicles. But the Land Rover intrigues me the most because it's gone from a super hardcore off-road vehicle to a fairly expensive, I mean, when you see what it can do, and it's been pulling Arctics around, and it's been on, there's been the Namibia, quite a few reviews from varying car channels showing what it can or can't do. But there's an excellent one from TFL where it's not the Wrangler, they've got a Gladiator, but you'll see it in action here, and it's quite interesting.
And there you can tell the extra length of the Gladiator, how much it doesn't help. You have to lock anything up?
No.
No?
No.
Nothing locked up, all right.
Tommy.
Good work.
Thank you, buddy. Appreciate it.
My turn. All right, here we go. Our first real obstacle. Come on. Worried about that rock on my right, but I think I cleared it.
A little bit more.
Okay.
Right there. Give this little rock under there. So it could be easy.
And when all else fails, throw a rock under the wheel. There you go. Still hung up, huh?
Back you up just a little bit more.
Okay.
A little bit more. Right there.
Okay.
Now, as you come up,
Yep.
I want you to go hard passenger.
You got it.
Keep it passenger for now. That's looking good. A little bit more. Okay. And then start coming driver. Just take it real slow.
You got it.
Yep. How we looking there? Just real slow. You're going to come down on the driver. Real slow forward. Okay. Let's try to keep bringing it forward. I think if we just kind of get a little hockey rock.
You want a winch? We could.
Barely on this control arm.
We could winch.
You're going to want to go kind of slow off of it though, because it's right on the edge. There we go. There we go. Yep, she's up. Nice job.
All right. Just a little bit. All right.
So you can see, so that was the rear diff there. Yeah, there you go.
Right.
That right there is bits of Land Rover. That right there. That is the what? That was the lower control arm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Gladiator, no problem. Defender, well, it had to work for it. Old Defender, easy, 3-inch lift.
So I think that's an interesting one because that was a TFL, the fast lane car, if you've never watched their channel, and its father and son sort of inspired us to do this to a certain degree, although my son's ditched me. Tommy, as you saw driving the Gladiator there, is a bit more reliable. So I think that one, you got to see the old Defender, we got to see the new Defender, and we got to see a Wrangler Gladiator, and at the beginning of that, the Gladiator being much longer than the Wrangler does scrape a bit at the rear. Now, I think that shows you, if you're looking for rock crawling and you want to update your vehicle and go on some really extreme stuff, clearly the new Defender isn't set out to do it. Now, whether the Grenadier is going to be, and as you can see, there's a huge resemblance there to the old Defender, and strangely enough, Jaguar Land Rover did a trademark case against the shape of the Defender against the new Ineos Grenadier and lost. So Jim Ratcliffe, which is the chap by the orange one there, he is the chairman of Ineos who've put this Grenadier together. So if you don't know anything about the Grenadier, you need to investigate it, because it's a great vehicle. Let's have a look. Now, strangely enough, the only reason I knew of Ineos was that we used to live in Portsmouth, and behind literally where we lived, Ben Ainsley built his America's Cup Challenge building, which was a massive structure which produced his sort of super quick yacht. And Land Rover, funnily enough, used to be the sponsor of Ben Ainsley, and then it became Ineos. And so therefore you sort of take a little bit of notice of the name and look into it, but it's basically one of the UK's largest privately owned companies. So Jim Ratcliffe is the chairman and owner. They're an 85 billion pound company, mainly in chemicals and gas, mainly chemicals. And the story goes that he and a couple of his buddies were in the Grenadier pub in London, and they used old Defenders and love old Defenders, and were quite disappointed at the quality of the new off-road vehicles. So if you've got 83 billion every year at your disposal and a little bit of profit, I suppose you could start your own car business. And luckily, Jim Ratcliffe is in that position. I'm not sure, but I think he's one of the richest men in the UK, and clearly a genius in more ways than one. So he decided, over a pint of Great British Ale, to start his own car company, and he wanted a utilitarian 4x4. So that's where we get to with the Ineos. Now, when you have a look at it, they've obviously, if you need to go to Ineos's site, which should be the next slide that comes up, and what they do is, if you go to their website, they've got varying videos, so you can watch. Here we go. So you can watch what they do, and they're presented by Mark Evans, who's a very, very intelligent engineering chap. If you have ever watched this Car is Born series, he built his own Cobra. He then, plane is born, helicopter is born, a boat is born, a racing car is born. So he knows his stuff as far as building a car is concerned, and he's been given unlimited access, or he's been paid and told to do it. But he's doing some really, really good videos. Lockdown's ruined it slightly, but he's doing some really good videos on how they've designed the Grenadier, why they've chosen axles, why they've chosen frame on body, or body on frame, the suspension that they've chosen, and there's about 5 of them up there now, and you can really see what they're doing, and it's a really interesting insight into how they're making this vehicle and the market they're going for. And really, when you come down to the type of person that's going to buy the Grenadier, it's going to be, I feel, it's Jeep. The main competition for the Grenadier is going to be the Wrangler. And if the Bronco is really hardcore at the other end, and I can't comment how hardcore that's going to be, but the person like me who buys a Jeep Wrangler tend to want to do some work to it and play around with it, or you are really, really going hardcore into the bush. If you're Australian, South Africa, there's some real hard areas to get to, so they need to be reliable, trustworthy. The Land Rover's a little bit of a, we've done a video before, and if I remember, I'll put a link to it. But I do believe that that Defender should have been the new Discovery, because that's to me what it is. It's a vehicle that's got incredible credentials, and it'll go most places, it'll go way past my ability, but it doesn't do, I think, what the old one did, and what obviously Ineos feel there is still a market for. Jeep clearly have it at the moment more or less to themselves, or had it to themselves, and the Bronco seems to be edging into both camps, which seems a very sensible approach in my opinion. So the Bronco is the car that interests me the most, because it looks like I could consider buying one and I could modify it and spend all my hard-earned cash, as I am on my Wrangler, doing it up. The Wrangler's just a great car, and it's got more heritage because they've never stopped making it. The Land Rover, to me, I'm struggling with it slightly. Why would you buy that over a normal Range Rover unless you're going to go really hardcore off-road? But it doesn't really go hardcore. I think if you were doing miles and miles in the outback of Australia on just, what do they call them? They call them washboard roads. It's perfectly set up for that. But it's got air suspension. You're not going to buy a new Defender and rip all that out to lift it and put real off-road suspension on it, but then you've still got independent front suspension, you haven't got solid axle. So the Land Rover to me is more aimed at people who want to look like they go off-road but don't really do it. Is it going to take sales away from the Toyota brand? I don't think it will. So it's selling like hotcakes, so what do I know? But the Bronco looks like it's going to steal some sales from it. It looks a really nice bit of kit. And the Grenadier is the one that I'm probably going to follow the most. I like the fact that they've built one from the ground up. I probably don't love its design quite like the others. It's a little bit too... It doesn't look quite as nice as the old Defender, because the old Defender was really hard. This one they've obviously had to do something for crash testing and what have you to get round it, but I still think if I had one parked outside, I think it would suit me down to the ground. But which is the best? I can't answer that. They all to me are fantastic vehicles. If I had a Defender outside and I was nipping to the shops and mincing around here in Portugal, that would just be a fabulous vehicle for me. If you've watched our Millionaire Dream Lottery Garage, I put the Defender in there. Whether it's going to get in on the next one we do, you'll have to wait and see. But hopefully, I don't think I've helped anybody or shown you anything you probably haven't seen before, but we've put them together. Hopefully a little bit of knowledge about Ineos, but I would recommend you go and have a look at the website. Follow the Mark Evans videos, they're really good. TFL, really good. If you want to see that Gladiator's their own, so they're going to do a sort of cross America challenge in that, going across America without using, as they call it, pavement, I call it tarmac. So it'll be off-road all the way. So there are a couple of channels to look out for and follow. But hopefully this has just been a quick one. Hope you've enjoyed it. And if you have been, I appreciate you watching.